be something like, so like, you know how we kind of booted everybody off the team and it's just the two of us left now?
Yeah, I mean, we did found the team, so, it's just, they just all didn't shape up. They didn't show up today, even though they weren't scheduled to be here. So, yeah.
The real, like, line in the sand that we had to draw was when they handed us union papers. That was just taking it one step too far.
We can't have that. No, that's just, no.
We definitely can't have our own stream team unionizing.
I can't even think till September. Like, who knows what happens? I mean, I'm still waiting for, the aliens, so...
Well, we got aliens to talk about later, so how about I start this podcast episode? This is episode 53 of the Halcyon Frequency Podcast. This is kind of a important episode. It's going to be airing live January 22nd, 2022. But it's important for several reasons. It's important because we did actually have more people scheduled to be on this episode, and then only two of us showed up. But also, this is the 1-year anniversary episode of this podcast. So I'm Blind and I'm hosting, and I'm joined by my co-host for this episode, FG Squared. How are you today?
Hello. I'm actually doing really good. I wasn't so well at the end of last week over the weekend, but I'm doing much better today because antibiotics are awesome.
Yay! Glad you're feeling better.
Yeah, no, I am feeling much better, much improved, and I'm doing well, and I had a good day.
The original plan for today's episode, I think, was like just there was going to be three of us, and we were going to record this episode a little bit early, kind of lifting up the kind of the veil a little bit on the production of this show, and we had some stuff lined up that we were going to talk about, and it's like, well, scheduling stuff didn't work out, so it's just the two of us. So we're going to kind of do a little year in review of this podcast, I guess, and just kind of talk about what running this podcast has been like from launch until now. And then we'll talk about the games that we've been playing this week. And then we're going to talk about games that we're looking forward to in 2023, because GameSpot has this really big list of games, and it'll be fun to, I think, kind of roll through.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what we're doing. And it's kind of crazy to think that it's been a year already that we've been doing that, and I feel like I've said this before on a podcast, or maybe that was just in a team meeting, but like I'm really proud of us because we've missed like at most 3 weeks.
Yeah, and half those weeks that we missed, we were able to get something out.
Yeah,
there was definitely like I think 1 or 2 episodes that we just completely missed, but like on New Year's, as an example, we were able to get something out that day, even though it was just all of us just kind of saying, "Hey, Happy New Year."
I mean, it's good, right? No, actually, yeah.
Well, I mean, this is episode 53, and it's been 52 weeks, so.
Yeah, I've looked. So 2022 exactly had 53 weeks. We obviously started on the 16th, so that was in week 3, I guess.
Yep.
So yeah, we missed 2 or 3 weeks at most.
Which is
if
pretty
you do
good.
the math. That is really good, considering what we've been through in this year.
Because mean, Evil Trick was on the first episode, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Things have shifted.
Yeah, people have left. They moved on to train pastures.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And new people have jumped on board, 2 people at that. So yeah, it's been a wild ride, but in a good way, I think.
Yeah, I remember years ago when we first started the team, our scheduling thing was always just, hey, the only way that our scheduling could be even more difficult is if we had somebody from Australia. Now we have one in New Zealand and somebody in Australia.
Oh, yeah. I mean, why? I mean, obviously Halcyon Frequency is going to take over the world in 2023. Sorry to spoiler it all, but we just thought that covering all the time zones like that is probably a good idea.
Well, I mean, it means that you have the highest possible availability. Somebody's going to be awake around the clock.
That's true. Yeah, there usually is.
Yeah. It means that we can always mod our definitely needs to be heavily moderated team Discord server.
I mean, we've had one person posting bad stuff once, I think, or twice maybe.
I There was like one or two people we had to ban, and I'm pretty sure at least one of them was a bot. So
Yeah. So
very rambunctious. I've gotten some weird features unlocked on my Discord server as it's grown quite dramatically over the past few months. One of them is I got this notification in the moderator room of my Discord where it was just like, we're going to start sending you real-time heads ups about people that are in suspicious servers that are suspected of terrorism. I was just like,
What?
I'm sorry, what? And so maybe once every other day or so, I'll get a DM and it'll just have like, or a DM from Discord through my server that just says, this user, and it's like links to an account, is in these suspicious servers. And I'm sitting here going like, I didn't know Discord had this functionality, but it does. And I've looked it up. It's like, if you want to like prune your server from people that might be in sketchy meme servers, I guess, mostly, you can do that.
So why do I not have this?
I don't know. Like, there's so many like strange things that I've like come into contact with over the past week just because like my arbitrary number went up.
That's so interesting. How big is your Discord now? 2,000 plus?
2,500.
Okay. Because
Yeah,
mine
and
is like 1,000.
I started getting them at 2,000-ish.
Okay.
Was when that first, because you know how they send out like those moderator announcements where they just pop up in the mod section of your server. It's just one of those. Except it's like potential suspicious user warnings. It's strange.
Why do they not say that to everybody? That sounds really helpful.
You'd think.
Like,
But
in a way. Yeah. Okay.
I think what it might be is just like having a certain amount of churn, like new people coming in, because it's like something like 150 people come into my Discord per day, but a lot of them leave. And I think when you have that amount of like turnaround, it activates or something. I don't know.
That would make sense.
I looked it up. It's like part of their like auto mod thing, and it unlocks features as your Discord gets bigger. It's strange,
But kind of cool. I like it because, yeah.
Certainly helpful.
Yeah. Because like it's not like really that they're going to do anything bad on the Discord per se that has to do with terrorism, but it's more like, you know, randoms coming in, they're more likely to like spam, like just stupid
it's like,
stuff.
This person has an edgy sense of humor. Be wary. That's basically all it means.
Yep, exactly.
But that was a weird side tangent. Yeah, it's been a year since we've been running this podcast.
Also, Blind is now a big streamer. No, just kidding. But like, not actually kidding because you are. But like, that's not really.
Is this going to be one of those like, how does it feel to be famous?
Oh God, yeah. So hey, Mr. Streamer Man, how does it feel to get paid just to play video games? God.
There's a lot more to it than that. Generally.
Yes. Way much work. The gaming is the fun bit.
I mean, we could talk about that actually for a little bit, like just this job. That could be a fun subject, I suppose.
Yeah, it's a lot of work, but still the best job I've ever done.
Yeah, I would say that. I mean, like it's the. I can't remember which of my friends originally said this, but it's incredible how hard streamers work to not have to have a job.
Yeah. Yep.
Like it's like the dream of being a streamer is that you get to stay at home and play video games all day, but the reality is like we're all just sitting here like grinding and working so hard to just play video games all day.
I think it's like a bell curve because you start small and you just play video games. And then as you grow, you start doing more and more work. Like you do like YouTube stuff, and then you do social media things, and you run a Discord server, and just all of the other things that come with it. And then when you get like that big, that you can hire people to do all of that sort of stuff, then it becomes back down. Like it comes back down to the point where you're mostly just playing video games.
Yeah. Or you end up like me, where you're uploading 3 videos a day to YouTube, and each one takes like an hour to make.
Yeah. But I mean, like, I was talking more like the 20,000 plus people, right?
Oh yeah. You mean like the Co-Carnages and the Lyrics of the world?
Yeah, those people that have like a slew of just people working for them, doing all the things and whatnot.
Tim the Tap Man.
Yeah, exactly. Like
that kind of echelon of creator.
Yeah, the really big ones.
It's been kind of interesting because like I think my parents have become a lot more aware of how small Twitch is in the past like 2 months, because like for a brief period there I was like the 600th most viewed channel on Twitch. I think I'm like now the 1100th or something. Like I'm still like in the top 2,000, but I've dropped down a little bit in the English channels rankings, which is fair because I went from like 800 to 1,000 viewers per stream now to about 550, which is still great.
Very solid.
Not complaining at all. But like there's been a bit of a drop there, and like my parents have like suddenly gotten way more educated in the way that they ask me about Twitch related things. Like they're just like, wow, it is actually a really small industry. It's like, I wasn't joking when I said it's easier to become a brain surgeon than it is to be a successful Twitch streamer, because like there's more competition and a lower success rate in this industry.
Yeah, absolutely. Also,
certainly higher turnover.
I just checked. You are still in the top 1,000.
Oh, then I moved back up because I was the 1,100th, I think.
Nope, you're in the top 1,000.
2 days ago, or
nice.
a few days ago. Well, that's cool. Maybe everybody else dropped down.
Maybe, yeah. I
Maybe
don't even know.
Didn't move, and other people's viewers went down.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's always so much shift, and then it depends. Like, that game is coming out, and then there is but it's the holiday there, and it's the holiday here. Like today, for example, like there was a lot of Americans around because, it's a public holiday in the U.S. and that sort of stuff. So
is it? Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah, it's Martin Luther King Day.
Oh, that's why that was trending on Twitter. That makes sense.
Yeah. So I out of curiosity, I just checked, and I'm 2,700.
Cool.
Yeah.
I mean, like I think that if you're sitting in the top 5,000 Twitch streamers, you're doing pretty well, as far as I
mean, that's still the top 0.09% of Twitch, which is ridiculous.
For a little bit of context, I was like the top 50,000 for like the last 4 years. So I skyrocketed from the top 50,000, which is, that's higher than the number of Twitch partners, which is what, 70 something thousand now. And so I was always in the top 50K, and then with the recent explosion, I skyrocketed to like 700th, I think, and then I fell down a little bit. But like, I don't know. I feel like I've said this for years, but it's weird just how top heavy Twitch is.
It is, and it's crazy to think because like still like every quarter when Commander Root posts his stats on like channel streaming, so he looks at channels that are streamed, how many times they've streamed, whether these channels are partnered, affiliate, or as he calls them, plebs, and it's consistently 90% of all channels that stream on Twitch are not partnered or affiliated. It's bonkers.
Yeah, I do wonder if that number is going to go down at all, because like Discord has been pushing the stream to your friends and pay to boost your own server thing. And I know that that's actually like a rather large draw for a lot of people on Twitch, is just, I'm going to spin up a stream, 2 of my friends will watch, we'll talk on a Discord call or whatever, and or in the chat or whatever, and maybe we're all playing the same game anyway already. And like that's actually kind of a large market for Twitch, but it's a money hole, right?
Actually, like I'm gonna post this right here, and we can add that into I'm gonna add it into the doc, in our magic doc, because we're just talking about this now. The latest stats actually were published at the start of this month, because that was when the quarter ended. So there is basically 3 million affiliates. There is 69,400 partners, so nice. It's 69,398 at the date that he released the numbers. It was almost perfect number, almost. And in Q4 2022, there were 8.6 million users that streamed at least once, which is not much, right? Because there will be
down.
like one-off people and whatnot, so it's not that much. That number has gone down, yes. And out of those, 0.48% were partners, 16% affiliates, and 83.7% neither partners nor affiliates. But it gets real crazy when you put in like even just 10 or more streams. 33,000 partners. So like that's less than 50% of partners.
That's like how many people were actively streaming when I started.
Yeah, and like half of partners are, because with 10 streams you can probably assume that they're at least part-time still streaming regularly, right?
Yeah.
Or full-time streamers. So that means more than half of them have stopped streaming. 780,000 affiliates and 1.5 million not neither partners nor affiliates. So that's still not a lot of people. Like that's what, like, do the math, it's like 2.6, it's around 2.6 million people who stream like regularly. That's like not a lot of people in the grand scheme of things of the world that has, 7 billion people living on it. That's not a lot.
Especially when you look at how many like hours of video is uploaded to YouTube per day.
Yeah.
Like it's quite it's a niche industry, and I don't know, it feels weird to say, but we're at the top of it, I guess. Like,
yeah, absolutely. We're maybe not, we're not like the movie stars. Like if you lose like the movie TV show type stuff, we're not like the big blockbuster movie TV stars.
We're just a Hulu original.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We're like on whatever's going on Peacock in the like section that nobody's watching that isn't the sports.
Yeah, but like it's still pretty freaking good. Like, it's at least enough to make, a living for most of us, right?
Yeah.
Though the cutoff is harsher than a lot of people would think, but I mean that was revealed with the whole, payment leak thing.
Yeah. I honestly, I don't know how popular of a take this is, but I think that the revenue leaks was a very good thing.
I agree, because it opened up the eyes of a lot of people, and
my revenue went up significantly on other platforms when that happened. I was just like, yeah, that's how much I make. And they were like, holy.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
suddenly
same.
money go up. So it's like,
Yep, that definitely had a big part, I think, for me as well. So yeah, it's been an interesting thing. I mean, we've both, like, especially like us two, because we're like not like the OG, like we're not like JTV OG, but we've been around this platform. Like my account is over 10 years old at this point.
Yeah, same. I mean, I've been around this platform longer than my account. I mean, I watched streams on I had an account on JustinTV. I just made a new one because I didn't like my username. And this was before you could easily change your username, right? Like I feel like I'm Twitch OG purely because like I remember when like Hotshot GG got partnered. Like I remember that. Like, do you remember like those old clips of like Soda Poppin getting partnered? After like getting declined a bunch of times, and he had like thousands of people watching, and they refused to give him partner for some reason, and then he finally got it.
Yep.
Like I remember all of those moments. I remember when like Total Biscuit was complaining that he couldn't tell who was subscribed to his channel or not, so Twitch in real time gave him a sub icon. Because like he's just like, I need something next to my subscribers, and they're like, what if we gave you like a battleship from StarCraft? And then it just like starts popping up next to his subscribers. They're like, how's that? And he goes, that's perfect.
Yeah, no, that's I mean, good. Yeah, I remember like one of the things that's like super ingrained in my brain is like the boiler races for Binding of Isaac.
Uh-huh.
Like that sort of stuff. So I'm like, I think we're OG in a way. We're OG viewers, not OG streamers, right?
We're
but
OG on the platform. We're just not the original round of creators. We're like, I would call us kind of Gen 2. If like we weren't the original generation, but we were definitely like I remember streaming on Twitch. Well, I remember streaming on Twitch before the Amazon buyout. I remember the Amazon buyout, and then I suddenly remember everybody's delay going down after the Amazon buyout.
Yeah.
Like, it's funny. People talk about how, like, Amazon ruined Twitch and stuff like that, but they made it usable.
Competition really helped at that point as well. Like, Mixer was, like, the best thing to happen to Twitch ever.
I don't know. The channel point system we got because of that kind of sucks, but I won't disagree with that.
It's still, like, but it helped with, the delay. Like they lowered delay even further because of Mixer, because people were like, well, on Mixer it's like 2 seconds, why is it 10 seconds here, and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, it definitely made the tech better, but I think that there's like parts of it that I think Twitch took some of the wrong things from Mixer. Admittedly, they didn't go anywhere near as far as Mixer, which I think is kind of the reason. It's like the channel point system that we ended up getting just kind of feels scummy. I don't know. I don't really like it. Like, I use it, but it doesn't have enough features to be useful, and it has enough features to be frustrating that it's not more useful than it is. Whereas, like, Mixer's take on that whole system was like crazy. Like, you could spend some channel points and then have like a literal basketball appear in the chat, and then like play a little mini game where you pass a basketball between users. Like, there was some really weird stuff in Mixer. That was a weird platform, but it was
innovative. Like there was innovation there, right?
Oh, definitely.
Like trying new things and that sort of stuff.
I mean, it's kind of a shame that Mixer went away. Actually, I kind of wish that it stuck around, but at the same time, like, nobody used that platform. I remember there was a good week there where the most viewed stream on Mixer was one of the Forza Horizon games, released with a thing where if you watched a Mixer stream while you were playing, you would get like double experience or something. But in order for it to count, that stream on Mixer, the car had to be moving. Like, the engine had to be running. So somebody spun up a stream which was just a car driving into a wall up 24/7. Like, they just like left something on their keyboard or like taped the controller or something. So there was just a car driving in a straight line and like just ramming into the wall, and it had like 11,000 concurrent viewers or something.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, like Mixer was never a platform for people like us. In terms of game choice, it was it was always very geared towards competitive PvP type things. But
it's very console centric too, I always found.
Yeah. Because I mean, that makes sense though, because it was packaged in with Xbox, right? Because there was for a time, you could only stream to Mixer from Xbox. Like, you could not stream to Twitch directly, which you can now again. But if you wanted to play on Xbox and have that gameplay show on Twitch, you needed like a capture card and that sort of stuff. Because
it's a different era.
Yeah. Gosh, we're taking like a trip down memory lane here.
The weird thing about Mixer too was they didn't pull from any kind of database for their directory. They were all handwritten. So like, if they didn't know a game existed, you couldn't stream as that directory. You had to go to their demos directory. And I remember somebody in my chat telling me, hey, you should stream Dwarf Fortress on Mixer. And my response was, what? Why? And they were just like, well, it's a smaller platform, and so there's higher potential audience growth. And I was literally like, they don't know that Dwarf Fortress exists, right? And they were like, what? I'm like, literally go to that platform, go to your account, and try and sign into that directory, because the directory doesn't exist. And they and they were like, yeah, you're right. They don't know that Dwarf Fortress exists. But, I mean, they also didn't know that Roblox exists. So that, that's probably for the best.
Yeah, no, there was definitely some interesting things going on with
definitely
that platform.
Like limited the ability to the platform itself limited its own potential growth because of its lack of flexibility, I think.
Yep. That's good.
That was a tangent. I think we should go to a real quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about the games that we've been playing this week.
Sounds good.
Back after this. And we're back with episode 53 of the Halcyon Frequency Podcast. And FG, you've played a new game this week, which I'm kind of curious to hear your thoughts about because they sent me a bunch of emails. How's Aquatico? I will admit, I did see your thumbnail on YouTube from this morning, so I have an idea of what you think of Aquatico. But
yeah, so, all right. I played the demo a while back of Aquatico, so I already kind of knew what to expect. But I thought, okay, it's a demo. It's been several months. Let's go and see what's what. Well, it hasn't gotten any better. But what is Aquatico? I should probably explain that. Aquatico is a new underwater city builder. So to be like frank, basically think like surviving Mars, but underwater.
Looking at this is reminding me of that other city builder that I'm trying to remember the name of that was like on an alien planet.
Oh, you mean, yes, I know what you mean. Gosh.
I definitely own it.
Avon Colony, yes.
Avon Colony?
Yeah. Yeah, Avon Colony, yeah.
This reminds me of Avon Colony, but underwater. Like, even in the way the roads look and stuff. Yeah, that's the Team 17 game, right, by Mothership.
Yeah. But so
even the logo looks like Avon Quality.
A little bit, yeah. Like there's definite inspiration there. Like Avon Colony, Surviving Mars. It's developed by Digital Reef Games, published by Overseer Games, and yeah, it's supposed to be a survival city builder underwater. There's a couple of problems. So Overseer Games, apparently, as far as I've heard, gave them kind of the backbone of the code for this, like of the game's code, because Overseer Games, who published this game, are actually the people who made Patron, which is that Banish-like game that came out a couple of years ago in 2021. So it's a little bit also based on that, apparently, because for example, like job allocation, that sort of stuff, and like works like in Banish type games where you have the big list and then you're like, okay, 2 people there, 2 people there, 2 people there. Though in this game, it's also 2 people there and then drones there and that sort of stuff. But basically, and the most disappointing thing is, to me, almost, that this is a game that is not labeled early access on Steam, but it very much is.
Does it like launch you with a roadmap kind of thing, or does it just
have a roadmap
unfinished? No,
they have a roadmap on their page, but they don't call it early access. So I did not know that. I wasn't aware of that. So I was like, yay, cool, a finished game is gonna be like full release, and it's like it just completely falls flat. And it falls flat. It's really hard there is no challenge in the game, and it's slow. Like, I played it, and I had it on, this is the fastest speed you can put it on, 8x speed. Yes, 8. And it's still really slow. And the only thing is, like, so you build up your colony, you get some people, it's like, there's an asteroid impact on Earth, and you know, underwater is the only place that's safe. And
I know that's a lie.
Yeah, so you build your colony down there, and you start with just drones, and you wait until people come and that sort of stuff. And you have like, obviously you have to like generate power, you have to generate oxygen later on for your people, and then there's like sort of production chains where you have to mine iron, and then you have to turn iron into this, and then turn iron into tools and that sort of stuff. But it's all just buildings that you put down, and you connect everything with just a pipeline. So it's very Surviving Mars in that regard. Everything is just one pipeline. And that's your O2, that's your power, that's your resources that, you know,
it's like
they
the power lines in any other game.
Yeah, it just flows all through that. And you just wait for numbers to get bigger to put down more buildings, to make numbers go bigger. And then the way that research works is, so you generate income, generate income from your inhabitants, but you can also trade and make money that way. And you can also tax your people if you want to, but I never needed to tax my people because like just having people, I just made a bajillion money. And research is literally just you pay the money and you wait.
Oh god, this game even has like that hexagon UI from Surviving Mars.
Yes. And it's there's so much, it's just so bland and boring. And then you look at the UI, right? That's also a big problem. You look at the UI and everything is blue.
It's an underwater game, FG. It's an underwater game. Of course it's blue.
Yes, but so there's a blue filter, but everything is blue. All of your resources at the top are blue. All of the UI is blue. It just looks like they forgot to put like colors in for the different UI elements.
And they didn't even license Eiffel 65 for the soundtrack.
No. And they have the, you know what's also really bad? They have the stupid, remember when you played Surviving Mars and it's like, your pipeline is broken, you're losing O2, etc., go fix your pipeline now. Mm-hmm. They have this in this one too. And it's not even in this one where you can actually at least see your little drone go pick up a resource and then drive over there and then like repair the things. You just click a button and it's repaired. It's like, are you still awake? Press this button to make sure you're still awake and not falling asleep.
Games like this really make me wonder about like the survival town builder as a genre. Because I think that there's like one of two ways that they go. Either they are just like this and extraordinarily bland and uninteresting and kind of the same as every single other one ever made, or they're way too difficult and everybody just gets mad at them. And like, I'm very torn on what I actually think about this, because like is it fair to say that like in the late 90s we had games like, you know, Zeus and Poseidon and kind of the Impressions games, which were kind of similar to this, and then we just kind of had Banished out of nowhere, and then this genre is just like, okay, it's a bunch of games that are like Banished. But even in my opinion, Banished wasn't a particularly good example of the genre. With mods, it can be quite a special thing. But the vanilla game of Banished is just good. You figure out the formula, and once you know the formula, that's the game.
Banished is a wide but very shallow puddle because the game Banished is also unfinished. Banished was never finished. It's just been declared finished.
Yeah, the developer was just like, I'm not, literally, I remember seeing the last blog post where he's just like, I'm not going to finish what I planned. I'm just going to expand the mod tools and retire. It's like,
yeah, well,
okay. I mean, I would too.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just this one in particular is just weird. And then you like, so they have technically like events in the game. Like you can like, so there's events where I just got the same one over and over and over and over again, which probably was a bug, but I discovered plastic excreting snails, I think 3 or 4 times. And you can send out a little scouting submarine to do like events and that sort of stuff, but it's just like 2 lines and then you're like, oh, you found nothing, or you got these resources. And then there's shark attacks. And you can build towers to defend yourselves against shark attacks. And the towers, like you can upgrade buildings. Like this is something that it does quite nicely because it does it like Patron. So instead of like just plonking down, like say for example, a second tool factory, you can upgrade the tool factory to optimize it, to use less resources, to be better, to use less power and that sort of stuff. And there is various upgrades that you can apply, which is nice. So you don't have to like build like 5 of the same thing. You can just upgrade the one and it's, you know, nice like that. But you have the shark attacks and you have towers to defend you with like guns, and they need a lot of power, and they have like a radius around it as well. You can make them stronger, you can make the radius bigger. And I literally had my entire colony covered with like 3 or 4 towers. And you would think, you know, having like a radius thing, you know, yeah, okay. You know, it's kind of like the meteor guns in Surviving Mars. If that area is covered, you're good, right? Yeah, not in this game. You need like so many towers to defend against just 2 sharks. It's kind of, yeah, they just go in and they just go nom 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 because the guns do like 20 damage to them and they must have like 200 health or something like that. It's, I don't know. It's like, bottom line is just, it's not good. It's just bland and boring, and I stopped it after 3 hours and switched games because I was that bored.
Really makes me wonder how Industries of Titan is doing. Because it's got mixed reviews, mostly positive overall. I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, because that's also still not finished, right?
Yep, that's in early access still.
Jeez.
Yep. Soundtrack bops because it's Danny B, but
I was gonna say, yeah.
the soundtrack and like the art style are like phenomenal in that game, but like I don't know. It's like it's a city builder, but it's FTL, but it's also a tower defense game. Always seemed like a strange combination of things for Industries of Titan. So it's a very ambitious thing. That's one that I'm curious about for when it leaves early access.
I will play it again when it comes out.
Same.
Because I played it when it came out over on Epic in early access, and I was like, okay, it was buggy and stuff crashed and that sort of stuff. So I was like, I played it for one stream, and I was like, okay, I'll wait, and I'll just wait now and see when it comes out. But yeah, like bottom line on Aquatico, it's just don't.
Just don't. Well, speaking of games that you maybe just shouldn't, but maybe you should. I don't know. I played the first hour and a half of High on Life this morning. And the reason I decided to play it was I've just kind of heard from enough places that it's a competent shooter that is more funny than it isn't. And I like a good dumb shooter every now and again. And I've played through some pretty brain-dead, not funny shooters that think that they're funny in my life. An example of that would be like Shadow Warrior. I don't think that game's funny at all, but I played through all of it. The first one, I didn't play the other two. Like I play the serious Sam games whenever they come out. I wait for them to be about $8 and then I buy them and then I play through them and they have the occasional laughs. I'm like, you know what? I could do a kind of funny shooter, and they sent me a key for it back when it came out. So it's just been sitting in my Steam library since it was released, basically, which was right when Dwarf Fortress was at its high. So I didn't get the opportunity to play it. And when it released initially, it didn't have an FOV slider, and the FOV was really tight. But they've since added that, and it goes all the way up to 190, which I think is a joke. I was playing it at like 110 FOV, and I made it through kind of like the opening sequence, which is pretty funny. I will say, like, the very beginning of the game starts off with a fake, like, kind of Doom clone game, which is really funny because I think I've played that exact game before on itch, actually. There's a game called Reboot something. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. Which is also on Steam. Force Reboot. That's it. There's a game called Force Reboot, which is also it's on Steam and it's on itch, and it's $3. Basically that game. Like, to the point where, like, I think it's the same, like, asset pack. It's kind of wild. Anyway, so it starts off in that thing, and I went through the whole opening sequence where, like, your parents are gone for a week, and then aliens land, and your sister's doing coke and all kinds of other silly stuff. I think its world as, like, a Saturday morning cartoon for adults, kind of the Justin Roiland, like, Rick and Morty sensibilities of sci-fi, I think it hits. Like, I think I like it. I think it's funny. It's everything that I've heard is like the worst things that it does is like the jokes go on too long, and I've definitely encountered that a couple of times where, like, all right, shut up, I want to move on to the next thing. But, like, I've just put it on the easiest difficulty, and it's been enjoyable. I'm looking forward to finding new guns because they're all played by different comedians. Apparently there's some pretty good bits throughout, and yeah, I think that'll be a game that I do one mission at a time and finish over the next month, maybe. I'm not going to turn up the difficulty at all. I just want enemies to fall over when I see them, and I just want to listen to the gun shout. That's all I really care about. But it's, High on Life. I'm one thumbs up. I'm impressed so far. I'll probably drop updates as to how I'm going through that, but yeah.
Yeah, I've only heard good things, really, and it's probably one of those games that I'll pick up when it's like, like 90% off. So in like 3 years. But no, I've only heard good things, and apparently there's like movies in the game that you can watch and sit down and whatnot, and
there's a couple of licensed or films in there, so it's like entire movies, and apparently there's a point where you can just like summon in a movie theater and just like watch them, which I'm also kind of curious about. Like, I feel like it would be a really good game to like sit down with like a friend or two on a sofa and just pass the controller back and forth.
Yeah, that sounds
because it's almost like watching a movie. Like, it's very clear that it's a game that's made by people with connections in Hollywood, right? Like it feels like they're trying to make a game that has a comedic narrative like a movie or a TV show throughout. And like I said, generally the bits from what I've seen so far hit harder than they miss. And there's definitely been a couple points where like, oh, you're funny. Okay, I get it.
You made me laugh. God damn it.
But I haven't had any like hysterical like laugh out loud moments yet. But at the bits I've played, I've just kind of had a dumb smile on my face. So, which is, I guess, kind of what you need for a game like that. It's really hard to make games funny. There's very I think like maybe Portal and like Jazz Punk are like the only examples in my mind of like games that I've genuinely found funny. So it's hard to make a funny game. And well, I guess like with the exception of like Gary's Mod and like physics breaking, but I don't know if that's intentional comedy or just accidental comedy. But yeah, High on Life. It's pretty good. You got Viscera cleanup detail on here. Why were you playing that? Who hurt you?
So okay, there's a little bit of a backstory to this. So last month I actually made a second Twitch account to just play goofy games on whenever I wanted to, and I do co-working over there. So that's twitch.tv/live in outer space, and live as in LIVE, not live. So LIVE in outer
live
space.
in outer space.
Yep. And I wanted something chill to play, and I wanted to clean something. Like, I just wanted to play like a simulator, silly, something like that. And I had finished Fresh Start Cleaning Sim. I'd finished Train Station Renovation. I had finished Power Wash Sim. So I was just thinking, I was like, Viscera cleanup detail was always fun. And then I went back to it, and there were actually, like, since the last time I played, there's been like 5 or 6 maps added since then that I hadn't played. So I've just been slowly playing through those maps, and I've like grabbed Lex, and we've just done like co-op stuff over there, and it's just fun. It's just dumb fun. For some reason, just virtual cleaning is fun.
Yeah, I remember having a visceral hatred for that game when I played it. Because when that game came out, I was still working night shift at McDonald's cleaning.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, this is my job, but less fun. Cool.
I mean, it's like, yeah, it's obviously if the cleaning thing is your job, then this is probably not like fun. But it's like one of those games that's fun when you're like in a group and the physics start freaking out and that sort of stuff. And
yeah, I can kind of see the appeal. It's just very much not for me, which is why they like, who hurt you?
Yeah, no, I totally get it. And to be fair, like it's an old game at this point. I mean, it came out in 2015, but it was an early access before that. And it's so funny. It runs in like Unreal Engine 3. So like the physics get really wonky, and like if you're hosting it, because the way it is, so it's a cleanup game, and there's basically the premise is it's a sci-fi world. The aliens attacked a location, basically. There's also other things, but generally the premise is aliens attack, the Marines go in, kill all the aliens, and they just leave. And then you have to clean up the aftermath of that. So there's like blood and body parts and corpses and just a general mess. And blood is actually a physical object in the game. So a footprint or like a blood spatter is a physical object. And if you step into blood, you get bloody shoes. And then if you keep walking, you generate new blood on the floor, like new footprints. And you can overload basically your server/computer. Like you can make so many items that it just goes like, well, sorry, like we've reached the limit. Physics are going to be wonky now. and we're just not going to add anything more. It's really funny. But no, it was just good to go back and like do some new maps. Some of them are I'm not a fan of. There's one that's like really, really dark, so that wasn't great. But I don't know, it's a fun trip down memory lane because I actually streamed this a lot when it came out. So like back in the day in like 2015.
So it's like going back in time then.
Yeah, and funnily enough, I didn't realize that until somebody came in and started talking like a new person, and they were like, yeah, did you know they actually recently posted they're still working on and porting this to like making a new version in Unreal Engine 4, and I'm like, what? And yeah, they're making a new version of the game in Unreal 4. Not 5, but yeah, so it's
probably they've been working on it for so long that 4 turned into 5.
Pretty much, yeah. So yeah, they're working on it, and they're apparently working on a second game. So that studio is not dead. And to be fair, apparently the last map, which was a DLC map, arguably, but it was like it's like James Bond themed, like you're cleaning up the evil dude's lair. It was only added in 2018, so it's not been like.
I mean, it's a 2015 game. It's only, 8 years ago, and they've put out a couple DLCs, and like, honestly, like, if you have a game that sells as well as a game like Viscera Cleanup Detail, you don't need to be in a rush to put out another game. You can take 2 years off and go chill. You know, like, that game sold really well.
They have 13,000 Steam reviews.
Yeah. They've sold a couple 100,000 copies for sure.
This was also one of those games I remember like distinctly blowing up on Twitch as well, where everybody was suddenly playing it and like playing it in groups and that sort of stuff. I remember like watching Giant Waffle and people play this.
This really is like that. Back in my day.
Yeah, it is though.
Episode.
Though I think one of my earliest Twitch memories is still, and this is like a tangent, but we it's just us. We can go off on tangents, right?
Yeah.
One of my earliest Twitch memories is getting like super excited, and I'm pretty sure it was on a Saturday, so it wasn't waking up early because waiting for Americans to get up. But I remember distinctly being like super excited and being super hyped for day 9 and itmejp playing SimCity 2013 together. Like, it was coming out. They were gonna be like, we're gonna do multiplayer. It's gonna be awesome. New SimCity, and then we got SimCity 2013.
My first like stream thing that I was super excited for was in 2009, and it was on Ustream, and it was Gassy Mexican, I think, Cnanners, and I can't remember who the third person was, but I was watching a lot of Cnanners videos at the time on YouTube. And they were like, yeah, this new co-op shooter, Borderlands, is coming out. We're all going to stream it together. And I remember that being a real big thing. And I remember tuning into that and only being able to watch it 160p because my internet was so bad.
Oh, no.
So I got to watch all like 48 pixels of that. Because, like Borderlands isn't great for the bit rate either.
No, that's true, yeah. I mean, to be fair.
That was the first stream I remember watching.
Well, that was the first, like, one of my biggest Twitch memories. The first, like, streaming things was actually Pat the NES Punks.
Oh boy, really?
NES marathons on Ustream for charity.
Of Pat, did you hear that his podcast is like not no more, but is no longer going to be on a regular schedule?
Really? No, I didn't.
Yeah.
That's a bummer.
As of episode 350, they're going from weekly to when there's reason to have an episode, whatever that means.
Fair enough.
Which is interesting. That is a tangent.
That is a tangent, yeah, but like, but I mean, it's connected.
Yes.
So, all of you people that used to listen to the completely unnecessary podcast, please go and listen now to the Halcyon Frequency podcast. Tell your friends.
We have a lot of crossover with like Intellivision and Miko drama and retro gaming and game collecting. Definitely, lots of audience crossover there. Although I did call in to the completely unnecessary podcast once. Or twice now, but like I don't say who I am. I just call in and like say something. Like usually it's like random McDonald's factoids and things. And then somebody pop into my chat and go, "Did you call into the CU podcast?" I was like, wow. He's like, heard your voice, and like a radar went off in my brain, and I've been trying to figure out who that was for a bit. I'm like,
Dang.
yeah, it's probably me. Which is kind
Wow.
of funny.
Sometimes the world is like so tiny. Recently one of my viewers met Kiri at a birthday party. Like
Whoa.
they just went to a mutual friend's birthday party. It's
Wow.
it's like sometimes the world is just tiny.
I mean, I was gonna throw it like, do you know who Nextlander is?
No.
They're a bunch of ex-giant bomb guys. And they have a tier on their Patreon, which I think is like $120 a month or something. It's quite expensive. But it's their mysterious benefactor tier, and they read off all the names for the mysterious benefactors every month. And one of them is It Me JP. It's always like it's like the first few. He's like starts reading off these names, and there's like actually like a few famous people in there. And then it's just like It Me JP every single time. I'm like, all of these like first name, last name, first name, last name, first name, last name. It Me JP.
Nice.
Just funny.
Tangents.
Should I talk
think-
about Dwarf Fortress, or should we just go to news?
No. I do know. Do some dwarves.
Dwarves?
Yeah. Sure.
Interesting thing that happened recently for me with dwarves is I got to speak with Putnam, who is the, I guess, new programmer at Bay 12. She's doing 30 hours a week as a independent contractor working for Bay 12 Games, helping debug code and add things, which is very interesting. I think like from the outside there was some criticism from people who hadn't played the game for a very long time or maybe weren't familiar with who Putnam is. But credentials wise, she's probably easily the best. How do I word this? Easily the best candidate for somebody to be working on Dwarf Fortress who isn't, Zach or Tarn themselves. Purely because of just her experience, like reverse engineering the game and modding the game and messing with the game and poking the game, and it was a lovely conversation, and so that was kind of like the real highlight of like my week when it comes to Dwarf Fortress things. But aside from that, still finding weird crashes in the current version. It's not the most stable release of Dwarf Fortress I've ever played, and I think like from my perspective as somebody who just plays the game a lot and like knows what it's been like in various different eras and knows what the game feels like when it's unstable and knows what it feels like when it's stable, I've started getting some questions from people in chat and in YouTube comments, and maybe you can weigh in as to how I should react to these, but it's just people keep asking, should the community expect more from Zach and Tarn? Should we expect them to hire up more? Or should we just expect them to continue doing what they do? I'm very much on the side of, this is their game. Yes, they've sold it now, but I think that people who buy a game like Dwarf Fortress should know what they're buying and know that they're buying a boutique art project, not the most logical commercial product.
Yeah, agreed. It's their project. They can do whatever the heck they want. If they want to be two people and work with it on two people, and that's it for the rest of their lives, that's fine. But they've already hired somebody else now, so I don't know. They can do whatever they want. It's their product. If you don't like it, don't buy it.
Yeah.
In the end,
that's kind of my take. And like the person that they hired, Putnam, like one of the first things she said in the interview that I had with her was just, this is their game, and they shouldn't cave to pressure of backseat game design, basically.
Yeah,
at the
exactly.
beginning. And there is some pretty loud people disagreeing about that. Like Dwarf Fortress specific, and I don't know if you've watched my interview, but there's a quote that I put at the very beginning, which is, it's very hard to get mad at people who are wrong about things with Dwarf Fortress because the game makes it extremely difficult to be right. Intentionally so, because the game making it difficult to be right is what makes your imagination go wild, which is why so much information in Dwarf Fortress is hidden, and why management in some cases is intentionally obtuse, because it makes your mind go wild when something weird happens.
I mean, there's probably a really hard to hit sweet spot that it encompasses like that element of discovery and like imagination and user friendliness. because that's like the biggest problem, right? Like there's some stuff where it's like really it's really hard to find, especially for somebody to come to like who's new to it, and then like finding solutions to it that necessarily that could be made easier in a way. So I don't envy Putnam and Zach and Torian like having to like design that because I'm sure there's like 20 different people yelling. Like if there were 20 people, like if the whole number of Dwarf Fortress player were 20 people would shout different things at them, right? So it's like yeah, I don't envy them that, and I don't really have a solution to that, but I think it's their project, so they can do whatever the heck they want. Yeah, in the end. Yeah. Like I think my biggest gripe still is, as like a newcomer, like trying to like get through the justice system. The management of the justice system. I understand the justice system, but the management of the justice system. But then I already found a way that helps me do it, because if you, instead of replacing the first name with a nickname, make it be inserted in the middle, that changes how the name appears in certain instances in the UI in game. Yeah, so that helped. For example, it's just creative things, right?
It's a weird beast, and it's a weird beast that's not for everybody. And
definitely, yeah.
We talked earlier at the beginning of this podcast about how my audience has grown a lot, and I think like I'm also still I went from literally reading and responding to every single comment to my comments move as fast as a Twitch chat sometimes. On YouTube, like I will refresh and there will be 8 more. And when you get to that level of interaction, it just kind of stops having meaning after a while. Yeah.
Or it makes it hard to like make it a conversation.
Yeah, and it becomes very easy for people to just get angry, and then someone will say something, and then you'll see 5 other people just like dogpile them with anger for no reason. Or one person will make a comment, and then immediately it's just like accusations back. It's like arguments happen where they never happened before, which kind of sucks to a degree. But I don't know. I think that Dwarf Fortress is in a really good place right now, just as a video game, playability-wise, at least in the premium version. I think the classic version needs some work. It certainly isn't without its share of issues. I mean, it's always had issues, and I think Dwarf Fortress always will have issues. But, it's not too dissimilar to, like, going back and playing any game from 2006. If you play a game that was designed in 2006, even if it's like modded or remastered to be playable on modern OSs or whatever, it's still going to have design decisions that you're going to look at and you're going to be like, what? Because it's not a modern game. And I think Dwarf Fortress just kind of will always have that problem.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's not a modern game.
No. And it does also a lot of things. Like, it kind of does its own thing as well in certain aspects that no other game does like it. But that's, like, also what makes it so, special.
Yeah. Well, I don't really have too much more to say about dwarves, because it's just kind of me just talking about like little random stories, which I think I've done a lot on this show. So unless you have anything to say about dwarves,